Let me have your name and what you do.
I'm Jesus Jr. I'm a professional actor, stuntman, and Bigfoot hunter.
And was on Breaking Bad, right?
Yes, sir.
One of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about Bigfoot in New Mexico. Tell me what's going on.
Well, a lot of people don't put Bigfoot and New Mexico together because they think we're all desert here, but we do have some forests, and we have a decent history of Bigfoot sightings and reports, and as well as I've actually seen the Sasquatch in northern New Mexico and southern New Mexico as well.
Now, there is no evidence that Sasquatch exists or has ever existed. How do you know what you saw, and what evidence do you have?
That is the, I'll say, rumor that there is no evidence. Actually, there's lots of evidence. We actually did a DNA study as well on 100 samples of possible Bigfoot. Hair, fecal matter, skin, a bunch of different things. And we have actual hair of Sasquatches, big footprints around the world, actually. But here in New Mexico, we have footprints that have dermal ridges like your fingerprints. But the footprints that we have found, they do not run the same direction. The fingerprints on the feet, they're dermal ridges, as a human. Only the great apes have that type of fingerprints, you could say, but for the foot. So there's that. Of course, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of sightings. I've seen Sasquatch myself. I had two of them hold the top of my tent off and look inside the tent while me and a friend were in there. In northern New Mexico, I came face to face with one. It was about 7 foot, maybe 7.5 feet tall, covered in hair. Yeah, we just stared at each other for a while. And then my friend ran by because there was another one coming out and said that they were coming out. He ran right past me, and I followed him. And yeah, it happens a lot. It does happen a lot. There was even a police report here in Rio Del Downs of a Apache woman calling 911 because she saw two Sasquatch behind a Walgreens digging through their dumpsters, and was so freaked out that she couldn't move, and was holding up traffic until the police showed up.
Interesting stuff there. Have you got any photographs or anything like that?
Yes, I have photographs and video. I was able to film a Sasquatch walking across a large field on the Navajo Reservation in Upper Fruitland, New Mexico, by Farmington. And then here in lower New Mexico, southeastern part of New Mexico, I have pictures of those two Sasquatch looking in my tent. And I have pictures of juvenile Sasquatch watching me while I was out there hunting. And I have one picture of two infant Sasquatch up in a tree, hugging the tree.
What kind of threat does Sasquatch pose to mankind?
I would say the main threat to mankind would be if we were messing with their children, getting too close, just like a bear or a human being. You don't mess with other people's kids, and they won't mess with you. So the main, I'd say, worry people about Sasquatch, there is not really too much to worry about beyond they might steal a chicken or two, or from your yard if you have chickens. They try to stay away from us because over the centuries dealing with humans, they know that if they kill a human, we usually show up with pitchforks and torches and trying to kill the monster. So they care. They have families, they have children, they have wives. Technically, they have their mate. So they want to protect them. And the last thing they need is a bunch of crazy humans with guns hunting them down more than they already are hunting them.
Which brings up my next question. Man has been hunting Bigfoot for centuries, just like you mentioned, but there's never been a confirmed carcass or anything like that. Why is that?
Well, again, it's not a lack of body being found. It's more people not knowing the multiple bodies that have been found that our government has come and picked up. There was also several bodies found, when Mount St. Helens exploded. There was several Sasquatch bodies, that were burned real bad from the volcano. In Upper Fruitland, New Mexico, they had a really bad fire up there, and they found the burnt carcass of a Sasquatch there. They are out there, but unfortunately, the powers that be come in real quick to clean up the mess. And they do know about Sasquatch. If you look up in the FEMA emergency book that they give their employees, inside that FEMA manual, it has Sasquatch in there under one of the animals that you need to try to avoid.
All right, so Jesus, where can someone see a Bigfoot? Where can someone expect to find one in New Mexico? And what do the numbers look like? I mean, are there large herds or small, or what do we have?
Well, it's very hard to get a Bigfoot to stand in front of you and poke his head out. The majority of the time, if you're out here in these mountains, the Sacramento Mountains, in the Cloudcroft, Ruidoso, Mescalero area, they're watching you because they have multiple individuals that's their job of the family to kind of like be security guards, and they'll be the ones that will alert the other Sasquatch that somebody's in the area. As far as numbers they are inhabited, what I would just guesstimate, I can't say for sure, of course, but there would have to at least be more than 100 of them to continue the bloodline and have enough children to continue for all these centuries, which, as we know, we just keep them multiplying. So depending on what their lifespan is, it's very possible that there's high numbers, but they just know how to stay clear of us and go places that we don't want to go through cave systems here. If you know what to look for Sasquatch, then the chances of you seeing a Sasquatch multiply dramatically. They leave telltale signs besides footprints. They manipulate trees, and they will create makeshift what's it called, teepees. Like the Native Americans make teepees, but theirs are ginormous, and they're using whole trees to make the teepee formation, but they don't cover it like, how Native Americans would cover it with the skin of, buffalo or whatever, hide they use. Nowadays, of course, they just buy the canvas to put it over the teepees. But once you learn the areas that they are in, of course, by doing research, going to the BFRO website and see where the reports have been, you go to those areas, you look for those signs of the trees. You can find trees that are stabbed in the ground upside down with the roots sticking up in the air. Somehow they're able to bend the trees without breaking them and almost braid them with other trees, interweaving, or they'll make little huts out of trees. That's what you have to look for first, and then once you find those things, that's when you'll have a better chance of having seen one poke around, look from behind a tree or get a rock thrown at you or a pine cone thrown at you. That's how I did it. It took me, let's say, 12 years of researching and investigating and learning their habits and learning the tracking signs that they leave before I started actually getting to see them. In Cloudcroft, where I had the two Sasquatch look in my tent, I had been studying that area for over a decade, and I would bring them gifts, apples and bananas and stuff like that for their whole plan. They got used to me coming in, they realized that I'm not there to hurt anybody or start hurting people. So when I had a friend that didn't believe in Sasquatch, said that he would go out with me and he'd go camping in that spot. And we went and I showed him all the weird stuff, the weird tree stuff, and we did some tree knocking, and we got responses with the same tree knocking back to us. Set up the tent, stayed there that night. 1:30 in the morning, two Sasquatch showed up, pulled the top of the tent off. I'm 6'3", and the tent didn't touch my head when I was standing. So it was easily a 7-foot tall tent. So whatever they were, like I said, can't say for sure besides the pictures I took, they were tall enough to look down into the tent, a 7-foot tent. So they were by no means regular humans unless the NBA, let some of their centers hang out in Cloudcroft for a night. With nobody knowing that we're going to be there would be very, very not likely.
Not likely. What else can you tell me about Bigfoot in New Mexico? I mean, is it a threat? Is it just part of nature?
What I think, and I believe, that I can't say for positive, but being Native American, working with many different tribes across the United States, learning all their histories and their interactions with Sasquatch, they all describe Sasquatch as a human being, just a hairy one that lives in the forest. That's where they live. They have a language, and they know humans very well. I personally, like I said, unless they're being hunted with guns or one of their loved ones is being armed in any way, that's the only time you ever have any type of violent reaction. Out of all the reports that have been given, none of them have been fatal or violent interactions beyond them throwing sticks or little rocks or pine cones. If you're doing something weird and you have a cabin nearby and you're making them angry, they might find your dog missing. You might have something hit your house really hard and shake the whole house, which is normally them hitting the house or shouldering it. But I've never had any reports here in New Mexico of violent interactions at all. So I would say to the people not to worry about it. Yeah, they should be more worried about cougars and bears stuff like that. Chupacabras, just kidding. But,
other humans?
Oh, definitely humans are the scariest, honestly.
We have become quite efficient in killing each other. There's no question there.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I look at is that imagine being a Sasquatch and getting to be in this forest for literally centuries and centuries and centuries, and you get to see us humans, our civilizations rise and fall, kill each other, murder each other, rise and fall, starting over, and they just get to sit there and watch it all happen. So I can't imagine the ones that are alive today, if they do have a language of any sort, and they're passing down these stories of humans and why you don't go near humans. I'm guessing that's probably why they don't. They try to avoid us at all costs.
You made an allegory of Sasquatch being a human or like a human. Do you believe that? I mean, yes, at one point there were multiple species of humans. Neanderthal, there was the pygmy, Cro-Magnon. Do you believe that Sasquatch is the other species remaining of human, or are we just closely related?
Well, I think Sasquatch is the missing link, the one that they all talk about that they can never find. In the ancient traditions, the Native Americans, he was here before we were. We were made second because he was too unruly, hard to control, didn't want to listen, and caused a lot of problems. They got banished to the forests around the world to never mingle amongst man. The Sumerian story of the Epic of Gilgamesh, the creation story, also, again, they had the Enkidu, which were the Sasquatch, that were made first. Same story. They rebelled. They caused problems. They were just doing way too much they shouldn't be doing. And they also were banished from messing with anybody in civilization. And were, sent away to the depths of the forest. And we were created second, much smaller, easier to control, and way more delicate, can't survive in super cold unless we have our technologies and the clothes we have today, or super hot. The Sasquatch could survive through all that without wearing a jacket or having an air conditioner. But I do believe they are a type of humanoid. Like you said, there was Cro-Magnon, there was all the different types of Homo sapiens, and yeah, they're just another one out there that we are related to, but not exactly the same. They have way more abilities than we do, physically and vocally. Their vocalizations have been broken down by intelligence, and they said that the sounds that they've recorded and people have turned in are language, but not English, of course. And they have a vocal range where they can literally make two different sounds at the same time. With whatever's doing it is able to do that, which the great apes, some of them are able to do that. Humans cannot. Chimpanzees can scream noises and stuff. They don't have the right larynx for speech. But from what we can tell, the Sasquatch do, because they are known, some of them are not in New Mexico. I hear it more in like Washington, Oregon, parts of Texas, Oklahoma, where they'll have Sasquatch mimic the voice of a parent. Like, say there's a woman and her child, and the husband and all them, they're all camping, and the woman at some point says, "Timmy, it's time to eat." Well, Timmy, being a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, is walking around while the parents are busy talking, roasting marshmallows or something, and they'll hear from the forest, though, "Timmy, Timmy," and they'll go out there and never come back. And that would be connected to the 411 missing cases that David Paulides makes videos about and talks about. There's so many missing individuals. So it's really important that you don't go off wandering by yourself, or if you have your children or anything, you keep your eye on them, because you never know which ones are out there. From what I can tell, and research not specifically just in New Mexico, there is ones that don't like humans whatsoever, and we'll take them. And people have been known to be taken. But like I said, they seem to be a lot more angry up there towards the top of America. But the ones down here seem to be a lot more timid, calm, aren't concerned with trying to scare us or take us.
Well, that's because weed is legal here.
You know. Yep, I heard they don't like Mexican, you know. Tell you.
All right. Well, Jesus, that's a very interesting story, and thank you so much for sharing the information. Where does someone get some more information about Bigfoot in New Mexico, should they want to learn more?
You can go to my YouTube channel, Breaking Discoveries, and on that channel I have the Breaking Bigfoot series of my research, the footage I have, the pictures I have, the different projects I've worked on with PhDs, anthropologists, the head of New Mexico State University for Gallup. He came down here. I took him on an expedition to show him the evidence. He also was teaming up with the head of the anthropology department from Ohio State University. That would be Dr. Jeff Meldrum. They came down and are working with me. But yeah, just go to YouTube, Break Discoveries, or type in Breaking Bigfoot, and it'll pop up, and you can find a lot about this area.
Before I let you go, do you have anything else you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I have put together, this is for all the Breaking Bad fans and the Walking Dead fans out there, I put together a comic book, which will be accompanied by a release of a short film about Breaking Bad causing The Walking Dead, and the comic book is called Breaking the Dead. So keep your eyes out for that comic book and movie. I'll be putting it on YouTube for free, so everybody gets to enjoy it, and just good times. It's really cool.
Will Gonzo make an appearance?
Oh, yeah. You'll see, I ain't going to tell you where, but inside this movie, in the comic book, you'll find the majority of the dead past characters from the show reanimated as zombies.
I can only imagine how scary Tuco's going to be as a zombie. All right, brother. Well, it's good talking to you, and we thank you so much for your time, and we welcome you back anytime you want to show up.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.